In this video, we're going to be talking about how long it takes for you to become a successful Forex trader. Is it 1 month? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? 5 years? Find out in this video. Hello and welcome to the Pine Street Capital YouTube channel where we talk all things trading and investing. My name is Ron and I'm the managing partner of Pine Street Capital. I've been trading for over 6 years and today we're going to be talking about how long it takes for you to become a successful Forex trader. So when we talk about trading success, what a lot of people are actually referring to when they ask how long does it take to become a successful trader is they actually mean how long does it take to become a consistently profitable trader, right? And the answer to that, short answer to that is it will take as long as it needs to take, right? And a lot of people will be frustrated by that answer, but here's the reason why I say this. When it comes to trading, right, a lot of people ask how long it's gonna take because they want to buy, say, this car in the next 6 months and they believe trading will help them do it, right? Now, if you're looking at trading from that mind frame, it's a very short-term mindset that you have when you approach trading, right? If you're like, I want to buy that car and I want to buy it in 6 months, I believe trading will help me do it, right? Then you're looking at the next 6 months, and the moment you start looking at things short-term with trading, you're always going to fail. You're never going to succeed looking at the next 6 months. Looking at the next 12 months, that's still too short term, right? When it comes to trading, you need to approach it with this kind of mindset. Trading is a high income skill, and because you have this high income skill, you have it forever. No one can ever take that away from you. And as long as you have that high income skill, you can then add significant value to investor portfolios, right? I don't know if you know this, but 19 trillion dollars is sitting in negative interest rate bonds in Europe, right? Negative interest rate bonds, what does that mean? That means investors are actually putting their money into investment instruments whereby if they perform as they should, they're going to lock in a loss. So you know how when you go to the bank and you deposit $100 and then they say we're going to give you a 2% interest rate, right? Then at the end of the year, you can withdraw $102. With these negative interest rate bonds, investors are like, geez, it's so hard to find investment returns that I have to go to the bank now and be like, hey, yo, bank, please hold on to this money for me and hold it in this investment instrument. I know it will lose money, but there's nowhere else to find returns. So for every $100 that I deposit, give me back 98. So they deposit an initial, say the investor deposits $100 into the bank, right? Then, 20 years from now, if the investment performs exactly as it should, that investor, instead of withdrawing the $100 that they initially deposited, they are going to withdraw $98 instead, right? Imagine how crazy the world must be if an investor is investing their capital to lock in a loss. Right? And that's where you and I as traders can add value because we've got this skill that no one can ever take away from us, right? That's where the prop firms are getting the capital from. They're getting capital from investors who otherwise wouldn't get returns for that capital sitting in a bank account or in a negative interest rate bond, right? So you and I have a skill and we can use that forever. It's not about, in the next 6 months, am I going to buy this Golf GTI or whatever it is. It's about over the next few years, what am I going to do with this skill? And as I showed you in previous videos, it is extremely simple to get third-party capital on. As in the moment you are a profitable trader, you are the asset. Focus on you becoming consistently profitable. Whether it takes 1 year, whether it takes 2 years, whether it takes 5 years, you've got a skill that could potentially make you 6 figures, 7 figures even. Over time, that's what trading can do for you, right? That is the long-term holistic approach that you need to take with it, right? If $19 trillion is sitting in investments that are yielding a negative return, then you, with your positive return, can already add value, right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a high income skill that will pay us forever. We're not trying to buy a golf in the next 6 months. We're not trying to buy a house in the next year, 2 years. You know, we need to take a longer term approach. And that's another thing when people get into these educational programs, right? Say they buy a Forex trading course or something like that. I think it's because of the negative way that Forex signal providers market their services and things like that. Essentially, when you're buying Forex signals, what they usually tell you is, you know, you're going to make your subscription fee back within the first month. And obviously, you know, that never happens, right? If you're going to be buying signals. So if you expect to buy signals for, say, $100, right? Then you expect that the reason you're buying those signals is because you expect that the trades that trader sends you is going to make more than $100, right? That's the approach that most people take. And that's the completely wrong approach. That's why you should completely scrap signals. Signals are not going to help you make money long term in this business. Robots are not going to make you money in the long term in this business. You are going to make you money long term in this business. That's how it happens. So now that you're in a position, well, say when you're a profitable trader, you're in a position to add value to an investor, right? And over time, you're going to make 6 figures easy, right? And you're going to do that because you've got a high income skill. So whether you're trading a $100 trading account, or whether you're trading a $100,000 trading account or $100 million trading account, you're still taking the exact same approach. You're following the same rules, same process, same everything. All you need is the skill to take $100 to say and make $10 on a consistent basis for the next 6 to 12 months, right? That's what consistently profitable trading looks like. If you have a $100 account and over the next 6 months, 12 months, you can make $10, $10, $10, $10, $10 with relatively low risk, right? Then you're a profitable trader. You're consistently profitable trader. If you can take, say, $100 to, say, $500 by one risky trade that you took, and you know, you might have made a $400 return. The money in you might have made more money than someone who's made $10, $10, $10. But guess what? 12 months from now, that person who's consistently made money over the last 6 months is going to be in a $100,000 account, whilst you're still trading with your $500. If you've held on to it, you've probably blown through it at that point in time. That's why consistency is important. Consistency is what gets you third-party capital, right? So if you can make money consistently, that's when you've got the skill. And how long does it take to actually acquire that skill of actually making money consistently as a trader, right? Now, this will be different for everyone. It depends on a whole host of factors, but I'll tell you how long it took me. So I started trading back in 2015. This was like the very first moment I opened up a demo account, started playing around with it. I remember the app was called Stock Wars. It was on the App Store, and I was inspired by this series that I watched called Wall Street Warriors, based on traders who were in New York, right? So I watched this, I got inspired to get started in trading, then I started buying simulated shares of Apple. So during my first year, you know, as in it was going through a whole bunch of different sources on the internet, finding information from there, finding information from there, finding information from there. But you know, it was all a path to nowhere, honestly speaking, in my first year, right? Then in my second year, the UCT Investment Society actually opened up a traders club, right? So this was a community basically for people who were interested in trading, right? And it was very well run. We had a whole bunch of professionals come and teach us about the markets and things like that. So from that moment on, I was getting into trading with the right guidance. I got into it with the right mentality, and my beliefs and knowledge was shaped by people who were knowledgeable and actually knew what they were doing, right? So from this point on, this is when my journey actually started to show real progression. And I really went all in on trading, and I worked in asset management, I got into brokerage, just so that I could learn the entire infrastructure of the markets, everything, right? So that was essentially my second year. I did that, and from that moment on, it was another year before I could actually say I was consistently profitable. So in total, when you include my first year and then my second year, where I now had the proper guidance, right? You can call that 2 years. I spent 2 years before doing this before I was a consistently profitable trader, right? And a lot of you might be saying, geez, 2 years, that sounds like a long time. 2 years, I can never do that. As in, if it's gonna take 2 years, I don't want to buy my Golf GTI in 2 years. You know, I'm trying to buy my Golf GTI in 6 months, right? Well, on the grander scheme of things, I look back at it right now and I'm just like, you know, it took me 2 years and I was really lucky. If it had taken me 5 years, I still would have been okay with it, looking back at it right now. Because the returns that it's generating for me right now, the time that I spent trying to gain this skill, and the kinds of long-term returns that I'm going to see over time because of the fact that I've got this skill. I've got this skill, no one can take it away from me, right? As in, imagine how much it would have returned for me, say 20, 30 years from now, right? 30 years from now, it would have returned millions, right? And that's based off something that I spent the last, say, 2 years trying to learn, right? 5 years down the line. 5 years down the line, say it took 5 years for me to learn, right? I'd still be willing to take that trade-off, because 20, 30 years from now, imagine how much trading would have returned for me. So that's the kind of perspective that you need to have when you approach trading, right? It doesn't matter how long it's going to take you. And another thing that's closely linked to how long it takes is how much do I need to spend on courses, on education and things like that. And I'm just sitting there most of the time with a lot of people, and they're like, oh, okay, so I have to spend, say, 200 Rand sometimes. Some people say, oh man, I have to spend 5,000 Rand, I have to spend 20,000 Rand, I have to spend 100,000 Rand. And I look back at it now, from where I'm at in my journey, I'm just like, 100,000 Rand to learn this skill is still very low price, you know. As in, the education that we provide isn't 100,000 Rand, obviously. You can click the link below if you are interested in education. But when it comes to education, in terms of the cost versus the returns that you can generate from that, you know, you say spend, call it 5,000, 10,000 Rand on education, right? You spend 10,000 Rand on education, and then eventually after spending that 10,000 Rand on education, you've got a skill that no one can take away from you, right? Then say once you're a profitable trader, you then take a trading challenge, and then you pass that trading challenge. Now you've got a $100,000 trading account after spending 10,000 Rand on education. That's what? $800 that you've spent on education. But now you've got a $100,000 trading account. You just bought $100,000 using 800 on a skill. You spent $800 on a skill to get into a $100,000 trading account. Is that worth it? I don't know about you, but I'd pay that all day, every day. If I then told you, okay, you have to spend $50,000 on education in order to get this skill, would you spend it? $50,000 on education to get a $100,000 account. Do I keep my $50,000 or do I spend the money and then get the $100,000 account? It's a no-brainer, because at the end of the day, you get a large trading account, and it's not just limited to that $100,000 account. It's not limited to a $200,000 account. Most prop firms have a limit anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million, right? So if you're hesitating to spend, say, $50 on education a month, then you better be smoking some crack. Otherwise, you don't have an excuse not to do this, right? So at the end of the day, how long does it take to become a profitable trader? How much money do you need to spend on education? Honestly speaking, I'd spend almost any amount on education. And in terms of time spent actually learning how to trade, as in it can take me, say, 5 years and I'd still be okay with it. But it's not uncommon for people to spend, say, 12 months to actually get to that point of consistent profitability, to the point whereby they can say they are a consistently profitable trader. It's not uncommon for someone to take 12 months. In very, very rare cases, and I'm not saying you should aspire to this at all, in very rare cases it might take 6 months, right? Very, very rare. Honestly speaking, I've never seen anyone do it in 6 months. 12 months I have. As in, if you remember this one of my previous videos, I'll actually link it over here. One of my friends, he was actually just starting out in trading, and then I saw him 12 months later, he was trading a 3 million rand account. And he's essentially the one who got me to open my eyes to the way professionals approach this industry. So 12 months is realistic. That's a realistic time frame. But here's the thing. You need to put in the time, you need to put in the effort, you need to have the right guidance, you need to be technically savvy and of average intelligence in order for that to happen in a year. At the very least, average intelligence, you need to be very, decently familiar with technology, you know, just to the point of being able to operate MetaTrader 4 and learning how to work with all the different stops and limits and things like that. You know, that's the level of technical knowledge that I'm referring to. But you also need to put in time, effort, and what was the other one I mentioned? Anyway, you can go back into the video to see what I actually said, but that's what you need to put in, and you need to have the right mindset. That's another key thing. You need to have the right mindset, and that's why I spend so much time explaining the entire, you put in 1 year so that you can have a skill that pays dividends for the rest of your life, right? So as long as you approach trading with that kind of vision in mind, that kind of approach will always land you in a position whereby you're gaining the most out of your investment of time and money into this industry. So how long does it take to become a successful trader? It takes as long as it needs to. And that time can be anywhere from, call it 1 year to 5 years. And if it does take you 5 years, then that's a completely reasonable amount of time for it to take. You know why? Because that 5 years that you've put into learning the skill is going to serve you for 10, 20, 30, 50 years, right? So put in the time, make sure you approach it with a long-term mindset. So that's how long it takes to become a successful trader, consistently profitable. And in terms of getting third-party capital, you can get that almost instantly once you reach that point. But with that said, I'd like you to smash the like button if you liked this video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you'd like to see more content just like this. As a thank you for watching until the end, I've actually included the most powerful training that I've ever delivered right over here, and you can watch it right there. Click on it, watch it till the end, and I promise you, the perspective that you have of Forex trading is not going to be the same after you watch it. So click on the video, watch it, and enjoy.